Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 of a best of 3 between Gnef and Gonzo in round 1 of the Season 6 playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. Today they are playing on Sianno, and on our left, in the red team, playing on the allied side, we have Gnef using the 3rd US Armoured and the Maverick deployment type. And on our right, in the blue team, playing on the Axis side this time around, we have Gonzo using the 1st Blindata and the balanced deployment type. Currently Gonzo is 1-0 up in the series, taking out Gnef in the last game. If Gonzo wins again, he goes straight to the semi-finals. So Gnef's going to try and stop him in his tracks in this one. And it's going to be an interesting matchup. The 3rd US, very strong armor infantry play, has a lot of half tracks, which allows it to support its infantry well and provide fast breakthroughs. And then we have the 1st Blindata, which has some pretty strong infantry backed up by some decent medium tanks, which are very strong at range, the Panzer IVs especially. But let's have a quick look at the army compositions. So on the top side here we got the flamethrower with the 30 cal, following that up with a Jeep 50 cal, and then 1 gun and 2 M8 Scots on the very top side there. Into the center town, it's going to be 4 flamethrowers leading the charge. With an M1 gun there, there's going to be 2 M1 guns, more flamethrowers following up, 30 cal, an M8, another 30 cal, another 30 cal, another flamethrower, 2 engineers in half tracks, and 2 M5A1s and an M5A1 recon. Those are the Stuarts. Flamethrower moving in on the bottom side with an M5A1 to back that up. Jeep here as well with the engineers and the flamethrower. Big commitment to the top side from Gnef. On the side of Gonzo, he's got the Venatore Moto with the 2 MG34s here, Panzerschreck, 2 more Venatore Moto on the main road with the Venatore Moto leader. Actually a 3rd one there as well. Pionieri Assault in the middle. On the bottom side, 3 Venatore Moto with the leader, 2 Pionieri Assault, Mortar, Reshiza, and a TA with the Hotchkiss on that bottom side. So let's go back to the top side here where the action's unfolding. Venatore Moto, these leader squads do have 2 snipers, so he's going to be making short work of that 30 cal. Especially with the help of the MG34. Currently, no smoke thrown down from these flamethrowers. This is very odd. Usually when you see flamethrower plays, the smoke's very prevalent. But in this case, the Venatore Moto are able to pick them off as they get closer. And that's really affecting Gnef's ability to get deep into this town. The engineers here as well also kind of forced back. The Panzerschreck blew up the half-track, caused some flames, forced the engineers to move. They lost their entrenchment bonus. They took a lot of damage from the Venatore, forced to fall back. The infantry micro here is really lacking from Gnef, but the 50 cal might be able to clean up the Panzerschreck before it gets in cover. Not quite, not quite. All the Venatore still alive, but the M5A1s are moving around on the top side, and these Venatore did not have any AT of their own. It's very, very reliant on this Panzerschreck. If the Panzerschreck dies, then those infantry squads could be in big trouble. But there is a Takam on the way. There's 2 Takams, 3 Takams on the top side. These are very interesting Romanian sort of AT options that they have. Very, very cool indeed. I wouldn't say they're particularly accurate. But they are nice at closer ranges to clean up heavier vehicles with good value for money, because they only cost like 35 points. So if you manage to kill another tank with them, you generally quids in really. But the M1 gun's going to take out one of those Takams on the top side. These M5A1s have backed off. Panzerschreck back in play now that it's recovered from its suppression. This Venatore Moto forced back though. Pionieri Assault forced out the flamethrower, but they're now being hit for free in the center of the map, which is not ideal. P-51 Mustang being brought in. These do have 2 113 kilogram bombs. Pretty nice for taking out units like this MG34. Anything with like 5 health or less is really nice. It could also be used to kill the Pionieri Assault here and allow the flamethrower to get surrender, but it looks like the 30 cal managed to pin those down fully anyway. But on the bottom side, Gonzo's kind of sitting pretty here. Gnef didn't really invest much into the bottom and has allowed Gonzo to get a good position on this bottom side. IAR coming in with the 272 kilogram bomb. Going to be wiping out that 30 cal. P-51 going to try and shoot that down, I would expect. It is a very, very fast aircraft. 50 cals will have done a little bit of damage there. Hotchkiss might prevent Gnef from getting too close there. Yeah, he's going to pull immediately away from that. Going to be looking to try and drop the bombs onto the T60, but the AA just does the trick, forces the P51 to fall back. Very important there. Bunatore Moto being run down by the half-tracks, and at the start I was mentioning how the armoured play with the half-track support does allow for quick breakthroughs, and this is exactly the reason why. You can pin down units, you can then rush your half-track forwards to surrender them, and the half-tracks, you know, they aren't really worth that much. So if they get caught out by an AT gun or something, it's not the end of the world. But another AR coming in, and the armoured rifles, it looks like they're going to be the target. It's going to bomb that out. Panzerschreck did go down though as it tried to cross the open. Pioneer Assault going to be engaging armoured rifles at close range. Really, really bad matchup for the armoured rifles. The Pioneer Assault are disgustingly hard to deal with at close range because of their 8 submachine guns and 2 flamethrowers. They're really, really good. Similar strength to Sturmoviki squads, with even better numbers, to be honest. T60 trading with an M5A1 there. Not too bad. Similar point value between the two. But the T4's now getting into play. The T4's a really interesting tank. It's a Panzer IV, but it comes with heat rounds. These heat rounds, they can be useful against sort of medium tanks at close range. They have pretty bad accuracy, but against something like a T-34, it can be pretty reliable at closer ranges for taking those out. But Torimoto trying to do its best to get off the flamethrowers here, just using smoke though to keep it covered from the M5A1. P51 coming in with the bombing strike onto the Taka. I'm going to try and get rid of that so these half-tracks can move forwards more freely. The T4 is still going to be a problem. Does get the bombing strike off, but the Taka just kind of shrugs it off. Goes down. That was the armoured rifle actually, managed to get the bazooka on target. Pretty impressive. One of the shots coming in now from the Bunatore Moto, though those armoured rifles not having a very fun time. There's 2 machine guns from the T4, plus all of these ZBs that the Bunatore Moto have. Currently though, Gnef sitting in the lead, which is what you want to see. He does have Maverick deployment type, so he does have the advantage in phase A and B, and needs to make the most of that in this game, or Gonzo will have a major advantage in phase C that Gnef just won't be able to deal with. So we're looking at sort of 25 minutes in. If Gnef hasn't won the game, Gonzo probably take the win. So Gnef really has to get a move on and make more ground. Currently, 14 to 10 really isn't enough. Ideally, you want to see 15 to 9. The main reason for that being is it causes your opponent to lose tickets at twice the rate. So the victory timer would go to, roughly 13 minute 50 or something like that if it was 15 to 9 as opposed to 27 minutes. So a massive time difference. Because if you let it go for another 27 minutes, you're going to get well deep into phase C, and that's where things will really, really start to turn on you. And that can get really, really bad. So the M5A1 though, going to go down to the T4. T4s are great. I mean, they're just pretty much standard Panzer IVs for the most part. And Panzer IVs, they can aim fast, they're pretty accurate, and they have decent range. And the range only makes them more accurate at closer range because their accuracy scales faster compared to units with 1,500 meter range. The IAR there, looking to dive in. It looks like Gonzo kind of bailed on that strike. These 50 cals really putting him off committing too hard with the IARs. Another benefit of having the US here is that they've got all of these 50 cals mounted on all their vehicles, and they can fire them all at aircraft, so it really does create this sort of budget AA screen. It's obviously not going to kill aircraft that easily, but it does sort of suppress them. The T4's there. Panzer IV taking out one of half-track. It's now a Stugin as well, that's what the TA is. The Romanian designation for the Stug. And the Stug, that's going to have to deal with this M4A1. The M4A1 though is going to be looking for a kill onto these T4s. Nice thing about the M4A1 is it aims even faster than the Panzer IV does. Its turret turns very quickly, and so you can use that to your advantage. pretty nicely against these T4s, as long as the T4 is not already like sort of facing in the right direction at least. Panzerschreck takes out the half-track, and there you go, nice clean hit onto the T4 with the M4A1. M4A1's going to be looking for a second shot. Gets the job done. It's always good to kind of commit to the second shot. If you manage to hit the first shot before the enemy hits you, it's always good to commit to a second shot because you don't want to lose the accuracy bonus that you've already created. So when you fire at the same unit multiple times, you are more accurate each time. And so if you manage to successfully hit the first time, going for a second shot without moving is a very good idea. That bomber though, nicely done, taking out that AT gun. The Ju-87 there coming in for the M4A1. The poor Mustang got shot down very, very fast indeed by the Hotchkiss. Looks like that's going to get the job done though. IAR gets the bomb onto the armoured rifles as well. Some nice airstrikes coming in there. Ju-87 completely suppressed, but didn't stop it killing the M4A1. But a lot of Gonzo's armour just got dismantled here with the two T4s going down. The TA still in play just off the road for the time being, is going to have to get back into position to stop these half-tracks from being too much of a problem. But I'm really struggling to see like how Gnef can really gain much more of an advantage here. He needs to get back this flag on the top side, and then after that he's going to have to go for these two flags, and pushing this deep into like enemy territory is actually really difficult because he's going to be really close to the enemy spawn. Gonzo's going to have the hill advantage here, which allows him to cover these areas quite nicely. Pushing for these two flags is kind of difficult, so I'd like to almost see Gnef maybe focus on the middle of the map, get that 15-9 that's super important, and then with the 15-9 he can kind of sit on it and force Gonzo to try and break back at that point. And if he's got enough jumbos on the field at that point, that's when things can really get hard for Gonzo to deal with, because of course we are seeing the 3rd US and the jumbos are on the way. So the jumbos are really, really difficult because they are basically a medium tank that other medium tanks can't kill. And with the Blindata, that's a problem because the Blindata only has other medium tanks. The only other way you're going to see them deal with the jumbos is with those Ju-87s. And those can obviously be encountered by Bofors, which as you can see Gnef is preemptively bringing in to cover his jumbo attack. But the armoured rifle here has managed to get into position to capture this flag with a little bit of a salient here, so that's nice. Gnef is finding the 15-9, which means he's going to win in 11 minutes. And if he can hold on to the 15-9, Gonzo could very well be in trouble. We've seen Gonzo in this position against Vesely. But there is a Reshica. Ooh, this Reshica, good chance that this could kill the M4A1. The nice thing about the Reshica, it's got an awesome rate of fire. 15 round per minute rate of fire. And every time it fires, it gets more and more accurate, and it gets more and more scary. Ju-87 though coming in for the strike onto the M5A1. He's going to manually target this to try and get 2 of the M5A1s. Only manages to pick off 1. The IAR's really coming in to try and stop that armoured push. Not terribly effective. It looks like a lot of those bombs didn't really hit the mark. Ju-87 only taking out 1 Stuart in all of that. That's unfortunate for him. So Panzer IV now followed up by Tuvanotore, trying to push out the armoured rifles from this town. This is a very important play for Gonzo because he needs to stop the 15-9. He's quite happy on 14-10 because it's going to lead into the late game where he can take advantage of his balanced deployment type. But if it's 15-9, that's a different story altogether. Now the Venatori Moto here, if they can get into the buildings nearby, they can jump the buildings up and start using their grenades on the M3 half-track to kill that off. Once that's killed off, he's just got to focus down the armoured rifles, make sure that doesn't kill his Panzer IV. So that's probably what he'll do next. So yeah, the M3 half-track here, you'll see it sort of back up. Venatori Moto. Maybe they don't have the grenades on those ones. I always remember something like weird about Romanian units, that not having the grenades. Regardless, the Jumbo does take care of the Stug here. Stug's going to always have a hard time trying to finish off a Jumbo at close range, but the Reshica takes out the half-track. It's going to help support against the armoured rifles as well. Reshica does have some HE ammunition, so armoured rifles are going to get pinned down there and surrendered. So yeah, I'm very surprised to not see this middle flag focused. If there was a Jumbo here, I'm not sure there's really much Gonzo could do about it. P51 does manage to get a nice bombing strike onto the AT gun up here. Wipes that out. One of the Reshica down. There is quite a limited amount of Reshica, so he's going to want to try and keep that alive. This one going to be firing at the Jumbo. Does have 160 mils of penetration. He's trying to keep it on return fire so that he can try for a side shot. At the moment he's just going to be kind of bouncing off the front armor, I think. The rate of fire, even with a low penetration chance, could be scary for the Jumbo. But so far so good. The Jumbo should be able to pin it down. But here comes the Ju-87s. Now there is the Bofors back there, of course. But the Bofors has got to target the Ju-87s first. If it doesn't, then that could be problems for the for the Jumbo. Jumbo's already taken out. That's all he needed to do. Just make sure the Jumbo dies. Bit of a, I don't know, mistake there from Gnef, maybe pushing it too far forwards without AA support closer. But does take out one of the Ju-87s. That's big. That's actually really big. The Bofors getting the job done. Yeah, a second Bofors there to support that might have been a better shout earlier on before pushing it that far forwards. But the Panzer IV coming up now. M8 Scott, M5A1 Recon are the only armoured pieces here. The Panzer IV should be able to kill both of them. The Reshica is also going to be getting shot on soon. Recon's trying to get out of the way. Not in time. Not in time, and the M8 Scott doesn't really have a chance to kill the Panzer IV. This Panzer IV has prevented any push on the bottom side so far. With this tank going down. M4A176 looking for the shots in. And the Reshica going for the Deep 50. Okay, so Jumbo has now finally come into the middle, but this is once a little bit overexposed without the Bofors nearby. Maybe the Bofors can stop it in time. The 50 cal from the Jeep there. Yeah, looks like it's going to be enough. But he does definitely need to get more in to cover that Jumbo. It's pretty important. And then get some infantry that can push in and find and help him kill off the Pioneer assault. Because back to 14 to 10, only 3 minutes till Phase C. And if it gets to Phase C, then we got problems. And Gnef's doing really, really well right now. He's putting a lot of pressure on, just like Vesely was in this matchup with the Maverick versus the balanced deployment type. But he's just going to make it stick. Really nice play here by Gnef. Picks up the Bofors in the half tracks, moves out of the way of the Reshica that was firing at it. Very important that you make plays like that to preserve your units. M4A1 goes down to the Reshica. Lovely kill. The trouble with the Reshica, like when you're fighting against them, is it's very difficult to react to them because of the rate of fire that I talk about. You see one, you get shot at, you get penetrated, and you try and reverse as fast as you can. But because the Reshica is already reloaded, often you lose your tank very, very quickly, and it's really quite frustrating to deal with. In this case, oh, nice mortar fire, almost gets the kill there. Two Reshica further up, looking to kill the Jumbo, or at least force the Jumbo back for the time being. That's going to be really, really nasty. If that Jumbo like pushes forwards and comes under fire from two Reshica, you're going to just get to the point where it gets pinned down. But have those been spotted? It looks like they might have. That's a fire position into the trees there, and that's a dead AT gun. The Famo down here is a unique truck with a 37 on the back there. that didn't quite do the job. That's for sure. So, yeah, currently things have quietened down quite a bit. I feel like Gnef's kind of run out of steam for the time being. Maybe he's kind of like run out of units, I don't know. It does kind of feel that way. Like he's maybe got through most of his units in Phase B. Although he's still bringing in like the armoured rifles back in the back of the map, so I don't know. Bit odd. The Hotchkiss again getting a lovely, lovely kill onto the P-51. Those Mustangs are very brittle. And it seems like they go down so easily. So just a little bit of AA. Good unload timing there from Gonzo. Gonna be smoking up some Pioneeri into the town. Unless these engineers are in the way, those Pioneeri will just deal with the armoured rifles very easily. So starting to get some position back. And that's even before Phase C. Gnef has to make his play now. If he doesn't go for and hold the 15-9, he's pretty much going to give the game away to Gonzo. And that's going to be real tough for him to deal with. So one thing that's really cool about these Reshita, you can see that they can fire indirectly, and that's what Gonzo's using it for right now. He's firing in this M1 gun. With the mortar as well. That M1 gun might still kill the Panzer IV though if it doesn't get pinned by that last round. Oh, it did. Never mind. Stur 42 also coming in. That might be able to deal with the M1 gun. Nope, the M1 gun gets back into cover. This Reshita also firing indirectly onto the Bofors here. The only issue with using the Reshita indirect fire is that he's leaving it open for like the Mustangs to come in and bomb it again, or enemy mortar fire to finish it off. So there we see the mortar fire coming in. Not sure what that's trying to do. Looks like he's trying to smoke these rifles off the hill so we can get them into the heavy cover down here. I think Gnef's assuming that there's infantry in the edge of this tree line. That smoke would definitely cover his armoured rifles if that's what he was going for. But currently a lot of this infantry just hasn't moved for like most of the game. Oh, here we see another Ju-87 coming in. The Mustang's going to try and stop it. Doesn't manage to get on target in time. Bofors is not in the right position. Cluster bombs go off. Oh, is it a goner? It's not. The Jumbo survives. It's definitely dead, surely. Ju-87 down. I can't remember if he gets 2 or 3 of them in Phase A. So that might have been the last cluster bomb that he's got to worry about, but we have moved into Phase C. So now Gnef is in trouble because it's most likely that Gonzo's got a card in Phase C of tanks and a card of infantry in Phase C as well. Whereas Gnef will probably just have a unit of infantry. And so, yeah, this is going to be real tough for him now. Going to be a lot of combined arms pressure from Gonzo coming in into this late game. He's going to try and secure as much ground back as quickly as possible. Head on between the IAR and the P-51. Very risky, especially with the Bofors in play here. Does manage to get away with it. This Bofors still in a really bad position. Jumbo does go down. Reshita finishes it off. AT gun on the bottom side though. Dead. T8 engaging the M4 at range. These both have a reasonable chance of penetrating each other. Stugs has a slight advantage due to the 5% extra, or the 5 mils of extra penetration, rate of fire as well, also in favour of the Stug. So Stug definitely advantage there. P-51 looking for the Reshita in the middle. But that's already done its job, taking out the Jumbo. It is going to die. Pulls away from the AA this time. Doesn't go down. Now we're seeing the mortar cover coming in. The Minotore Moto pushing back into the town. Panzer IV. It's going to take some hits from the M1 gun. Might be able to pin down the M1 gun in time though. With the 2-star veterancy, the Panzer IVs do have some decent rate of fire. Oh, but it looks like that's it. 23 minutes, 47 seconds. I think Gnef's deck had just run thin at that point. It did really feel like it. I think that's might be maybe what happened, or maybe just Gnef, knows the win condition, basically. So he just surrendered that game. And with that, Gonzo takes the second victory and moves on to the semi-final of the playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League. So congratulations to Gonzo. I think Gonzo was definitely favourite going into this best of 3. But Gnef put up a great fight, and honestly, in that second game, I think he could have won it. If he was more decisive in the middle of that map and used the centre of the map to get the 15th flag earlier on and maintain that, that could have been an easy win for Gnef. Unfortunately, as it gets into the late game there, it allows Gonzo to recover, and basically what happened. Balance takes over, and Gonzo cleans up. So 2,485 kills to 1,660 losses. Good KD again for Gonzo. Not as good as we've seen in some other games though, which basically tells you how much of Gnef was doing well earlier in the game. The TACAMs really didn't perform. I'm not a huge fan of them. They're a cool unit though. They really are. The Romanian tank destroyers. M8 Scott taking out 2 MG34s. Venatori Moto. This actually did really, really well. I think M8 Scotts have been buffed since the last playoffs. Like with Rate of Fire, I think it was. I can't remember, maybe I'm wrong. But P51's taking the Reshis are super important for those jumbos to do their job. Unfortunately, the Reshis did their job first. So even killing those off didn't really matter in the end. I think Gonzo basically got everything he needed out of them before they died, which was pretty important. Venatori Moto, though, at the start, really, really big mistake from Gnef to allow that much to kill, or allow that much to die. All it really would have taken is a flamethrower throwing a couple of smokes down, and the Venatori Moto would have been in a really bad spot against the flamethrowers and the engineers that came in. But unfortunately, Gnef didn't throw them out, and so the Venatori Moto just had a field day, killing off all the flamethrowers that were running towards them. That was a really poor play at the start of the game. But later on, things certainly picked up a bit more, and both players were using mortar smoke. The T4 there, cleaning up, and the TA as well, killing plenty of half tracks and stuff. I think a lot of the important armor kills really came down to the Reshitsa though, for the most part. Panzer IVs are nice for infantry support, but yeah, the AT guns really did a good job in this one. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Yeah, congratulations Gonzo. 2-0 against Gnef in round 1, which is pretty much the quarterfinals of the playoffs of the Steel Division 2 League of Season 6, that is. So yeah, commiserations to Gnef. He is a good player, but this time Gonzo beats him. And Gonzo will be moving on to play against you. Or Under the Sea, I think he is known as sometimes in game. Sorry, I just had to check that. But either way, that is it. Should be an interesting best of 3 in the next semi-finals for Gonzo. But after this, I'm going to be covering Nilla versus Jack in round 1 of the Season 6 of the Steel Division 2 League. So I look forward to that. That is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.